Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Martin, and I hope you're all doing okay. This is a very stressful time for so many people in the world right now, and I just want to put it out there that we are here if you need help, if you need someone to talk to. Don't be shy to hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Uh, we just we just know that a lot of people are in the shit right now, so don't be afraid to hit us up and you know talk to us. We're here for you. Not only do we talk about movies and love movies, but we also we want to connect with you guys because I think that's very important. I think just as humans in general, we need to come together and create a sense of community. And so, anyway, sorry I'm rambling, but I just wanted to put that out there for you guys. So, anyway, let's get into the meat of the bone here. So I had watched this film a couple nights ago, and I don't know why it's taken me so long because when this was announced, I was pretty interested, considering who the director is. If you don't know, Flying Lotus, he's a pretty legendary instrumentalist, musician, visionary. I don't know too much about his music, but before I did this review, I had listened to his what album is that? One of his Cosmogramma, um, and yeah, I dig it a lot. I think it's great. But besides that, I don't know a lot about his music, but just from the just from that album alone and the experimental nature of his instrumentals, the kind of the it doesn't have much of a mainstream appeal, his music, from what I can tell. And so now that I have seen this film, it's not surprising that this is what he came up with essentially, because Kuso is from the synopsis, it seems like a pretty straightforward film. It's kind of this idea that in LA there was this incredibly disastrous earthquake, and you are essentially kind of following these stories of these individuals who are living in that sort of post-apocalyptic world, and it seems simple enough, but it is really the complete opposite of simple, because each of these stories they somewhat intertwine through like transitions, and you'll see when if you watch the film, but otherwise they're not really connected. They're essentially just vignettes strung together, and each of the stories presented are they each contain different elements. Like, for say, you have one that's essentially a drama, like a relationship drama. One that's kind of like a stoner gross out comedy, one that involves this kind of dark drama between like a kid and her and his mother, and they all visually are pretty different for the most part. But what overall makes this film as a whole stand out is its really strong visuals. There is so much going on in this movie that I don't blame anyone for not liking this, because this is very, 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 very left field. This movie has like no mainstream appeal whatsoever. I don't even think a lot of indie cinema fans are going to dig it. But if you're into like late night Adult Swim programming, like Tim and Eric kind of gross out humor, um, body horror, just there are so many different elements here, and they shouldn't work, but damn, do they work? Because not only are you dealing with these really gross out elements, but you also have like I said, drama, horror, comedy, um, and each feels really well executed. There are some moments that didn't really land for me. Like, some of the humor can be a little, uh, juvenile is not really the right word, because a lot of this is juvenile, but um, it's just personal taste. Like, some of the humor just wasn't really hitting me well. Um, but I think what most people are going to take away from this movie, even if you hate the hell out of this thing, because I know a lot of people do, um, it's just the amount of creativity that has gone into this. Because with Flying Lotus, like I said, I'm not surprised that with someone with an experimental taste and kind of a you know less of a mainstream appeal, that it makes sense for this film to be very like no ceiling. This is an untamed vision, and I think, like I said, if you hate the film, I think you will at least appreciate the creativity that has gone into this, because not only are you dealing with like live action actors and all that, but also you have like 2D animation, you have 3D like PS2 era style graphic animation, some really uncanny visuals. And as someone who, like me, I really like when creators can push the boundary. And I gotta be honest with you, this is probably one of the most creative films I have seen. Just on the top of my head right now, from what I can remember, this is probably one of the most creative films I have seen. And even though it's like an hour and 30 minutes, which for any other film, that's just a pretty, average length. But with something like this, where I thought that maybe an hour 30 might be a little too long, and I think sometimes it could have been trimmed down a little bit, it somehow made use of its runtime pretty well. And even though there's some long stretches of comedy or gross out bits, it didn't really matter to me, because I thought this was going to be too long. But honestly, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But I could see why someone would want to turn it off after 20 minutes or so, because it definitely is a film that is not for everyone. And that's a pretty obvious statement. I don't really like saying that, because you could apply that to literally anything. But this is definitely for a certain type of people. I don't even know who I could recommend this to. I mean, if you like really weird, gross animations and, like I said, Adult Swim humor, I think that's kind of leaning towards the crowd that this was made for. But clearly, Flying Lotus just wanted to do what he wanted to do. Like, he clearly had some ideas that he just wanted to see on screen, and it's very obvious. And even though some of it's just bizarre as hell and makes no sense, like, it's very incoherent at times, it's still so admirable that he was able to make this and get the people involved to be a part of it. Like, I mentioned Tim and Eric. Tim Heidecker is actually in the film, and he plays this very obsessive, kind of stalker character, and it's a very hilarious bit. And there are a handful of other actors and musicians that you will probably know of if you're familiar with that scene of music that Flying Lotus is a part of. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I have to say about this movie. I mean, it surprised the hell out of me, because from when I saw the trailer a while back, I knew that this was going to be kind of a freaky film. And this did not disappoint whatsoever. This is definitely the kind of movie that you would want to watch at 3 a.m. I don't recommend any other time watching this movie besides 3 a.m. You'll see why when you watch it, because this is the type of stuff that you would be watching on YouTube if you're like in one of those rabbit holes and you're just nonstop clicking on suggested videos and you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into just the most bizarre depths of the internet. This is that kind of film, and this is just one of the most trippy, psychedelic, and gross films I've ever seen. If you are not into if that doesn't sound like your jam, then this probably not be your jam. Also, if you are not a fan of body fluid, I would highly suggest checking out. Don't watch it because there's so much poop. There's so much other various kinds of bodily fluid, and they're very prominent in the film. So just a trigger warning for y'all. But man, I don't know what else to say. I wanted to talk about this movie just for a little bit because I don't know if a lot of people are aware of it, and it seems like it has its crowd, it has its following, but also, of course, it has its hate as well. But I just want to kind of talk about it a little bit because I think it's one worth checking out if this is possibly your type of film. I want you to be aware of it because I know a couple of my friends are probably going to want to watch this, and this is one I'm going to want to show others for those late night Friday night showings. But yeah, man, I don't know what else to say. The music's interesting. It's very I think Flying Lotus did a lot of the music on this. I'm pretty sure. And if you're familiar with his music, you'll enjoy it and dig it a lot. Most of his music plays in these transitional scenes between the stories, and they're really cool. Some of them are pretty short, but some of them are kind of lengthy. And if you're into like psychedelics and the weeds, I think you're gonna really enjoy the visuals here because they are truly just something else. You won't see anything like this in other films. This is just unlike anything I've ever seen. It's pretty damn phenomenal. So yeah, like I said, the music's great. The visuals are really interesting and strange and gross. The stories that are presented are of varying quality. It's a very inconsistent film. Some of these stories just may not work for you because of the content or the type of genre. Like I said, some of the comedy is kind of weak, but I think you'll at least enjoy a couple of the stories presented. So yeah, the visuals are out of this world, and yeah, it's just God, it's hard for me to describe this film. It's just one you need to experience. It's hard to talk about, and even like thematic material. Like I'm not really too confident in talking about like what it means exactly, but you can definitely tell there's some like political, racial, sexual politics throughout, and it definitely just makes it less surface level. There's a bit more meat to the bone here on this film, and I'm not too sure what exactly. I haven't done my readings or whatnot, but it's there. There's definitely more here than I think a lot of people give it credit for. It's not just a poopy, gross out, stinky movie. There's more to it. It's just one that you have to, be patient with and at least give it a chance. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. It's a wild movie, and I'm rambling, so I'm going to end it now. I'm going to end my talk now. So, let's see. I'm going to give it a rating. I'm going to go with a strong 4.5. I think that this is just one of the most creative films I've ever seen, and I cannot wait to talk to my friends about it and show them because this could definitely be a cult favorite, and I'm sure there's a cult crowd for it. But I can definitely just imagine watching this in like 10 years and just having a blast watching it all over again. And yeah, so I think that's it for me. We are on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Hit us up. We do our Cinema Speak episodes every 2 weeks now. We're trying to stay more consistent and keep a good schedule going. So if you want to recommend us a film, drop a suggestion in the comment section. Hit us up on any social media site, and we'll be hearing from you. We hope to hear from you. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy the review. Hit us with a like or a subscribe. Anything helps. And remember, we are here for you as well. So we appreciate it. Have a good day and have a good month. Goodbye.